This is Black Scott.
This is Love Jhade.
And we are He Said, She Said, a podcast where we unpack current and controversial topics concerning
men, women, and the roller coaster that is our relationships with one another.
Look out for new episodes dropping every Sunday at 12 p.m. Pacific.
Tune in wherever you listen to podcasts.
Today we got a couple questions. First, what happened to all the Alfredo sauce?
Then, should you be yourself on a date?
And finally, is having kids in your 30s the new wave?
Let's talk about it, y'all. So, I don't know if y'all have heard about this, but apparently stores are running out of Alfredo sauce. And the internet is speculating that it's because women just love making fettuccine Alfredo. Are you tired of eating fettuccine Alfredo? What's your opinion?
Only if it's from Olive Garden. I mean, to be honest.
So you're not digging the homemade?
No, homemade's fine, because you mess it up every time. So it's kind of different,
Uh-oh.
when you be messing up and you kind of try to doctor it up a little bit, so just kind of is a little different each time. But when we're talking about Olive Garden, nah, I gotta go to, what's that one called? Buca di Beppo?
Oh, I've never been there.
Food.
I want to, though. Sounds bomb.
Yeah, I wonder if they're running out of Alfredo sauce because they always make it. So
I'm sure they're never running out. The reason why we asked, though, is because there was an Instagram post by @itsdjflow, and he was basically posting that one of the shelves in his local grocery store was empty. I mean, they had tomato, they had other sauces there, but the Alfredo was just out. And that just got us to thinking, how important is it that your partner know how to cook? Because we all know fettuccine Alfredo is a standard, straightforward dish. It's the go-to. Same thing with spaghetti. But is it important that your partner really know how to throw down?
How do you feel about it?
Honestly, as a woman, I think since I cook for myself, it's not a huge thing. But it would be great if they knew how to do something, like not just boil water.
Right, exactly. Or what did
or make a grilled cheese. Grilled cheese is fire. Don't get me wrong. Grilled cheese is one of my favorites. Yeah, like just a little something more than that would be great. Because if I can't cook, will you be there to be able to sustain yourself? Right. And the kids, in the future.
I feel like we got to get a clear definition on that, on cooking. I asked, we had this conversation, I believe it was back in college in class. And we had asked this one girl, so what do you know how to cook? She said the same thing. I know how to make a grilled cheese, heat up vegetables. That does not count. You got to stop right there because all you do is boil water, butter, seasoning. That's it. If you can even season right, because most people can't.
But I also feel like, are you going to make vegetables from scratch every day when the frozen ones are the same thing?
No, the thing is just that you can't say you know how to. Doesn't take any skill. It's like me saying I know how to get ice from the refrigerator.
Well,
it already kind of does it itself.
I feel like the sides, though, are like less important. Like, okay, if we're talking about Thanksgiving or something big, or like
mac and cheese
or a dinner party, okay, the sides are super important, right? Of course, mac and cheese is always important. But if we're talking like your everyday during the week meal, I feel like you don't need to define, can the person cook based on the sides? You want to define that based on the main dish. Like, can you cook the steak to perfection?
Well, now here's the question though.
Do the barbecue wings hit?
Would you prefer the sides to be trash and the main course to be good, or the main course is scrap, is garbage, and the sides are heat?
Well, I'm greedy, so I prefer the sides to be better because that's more. Like the main course is one thing, the sides is multiple things.
Like the chicken could be a little dry, but if the mashed potatoes and the vegetables hit, or whatever the sides are, I'm good. I'm fine.
I mean,
cake afterwards.
You can hook up some frozen vegetables. I mean, I can cook regular vegetables, but I just don't because it's so time consuming versus just getting some frozen ones out the the freezer, and just go from there. Right. You can doctor that up real good. You can use multiple seasonings. You can, like she was saying, the girl in your class, add the butter to it. You can make it. She didn't say that.
She just said how to make the vegetables, heat them up.
Well, maybe I added that. I added
trying
that
to support her. You see how women be, I always gotta support.
Yes, we always gotta support each other.
She's a bum, and you know it.
Listen. What else was she adding to the list? Okay, you said frozen vegetables.
And I don't know. I really forgot.
But that's the part.
That's the part that it hit. Like, my mind just went. I just saw red. I'm like, nah, we gotta stop there. But honestly, too, I can't even be honest and say everyone could do vegetables or frozen foods, because they can't. I remember Grandma made those tater tots.
Oh yes! Oh my god!
The frozen joints. It was like was it Genio or
It was
Tyson or
some
whatever.
frozen tater tots, and I don't
Yeah,
know what
regular
she
frozen tater
did,
tots.
but it just hit. And
In a
I have not
different
had
way.
tater tots hit like that to this day.
Almost cry. And then she made the little cornbread in a heart-shaped pan.
Oh my god! If it was in the heart-shaped pan, you knew it was gonna hit. Oh my god!
It wasn't Christmas. It wasn't Mother's Day. It wasn't Thanksgiving. No, it's just a random day.
Let us know if your grandma ever used the heart-shaped pan for cornbread, anything, cakes, anything. Like, do y'all know about the heart-shaped pan? Because it was just something different, to be honest.
Cook with love.
Right. So, what do you think? Do you think for your partner, it's super important for them to know how to cook?
For me, I believe it in being equal. So if I could cook decent, at least they will cook decent.
Mm-hmm.
So I wouldn't expect something out of someone that I don't have. So if I'm just trash at cooking, I'm not going to sit there on the couch and expect them to be a Gordon Ramsay, Bobby. Well, those are male chefs. Was it Lisa Ray?
Rachel Ray.
Rachel, yeah. I don't expect to be a Rachel Ray or
Jhade. Love Jhade. Her show is just like so calming.
What's the other one called?
I don't know who you're thinking about.
I'm just thinking of the black one.
Female chef.
She had her own show. She had a husband.
Not Tia Mowry. Oh my God, I'm gonna get canceled because I don't know
this. Let's say Tia Mowry as well. I'm just trying to think of more women examples because I'm not gonna sit there and expect.
Tia and Tamara really be thrown down, but I think, in my opinion, like I said, I just think the person should be able to know how to do something. Because if I'm not there, like, you should. I don't want you to starve. I don't want the kids to starve. But also, a lot of people nowadays just feel like this whole gender role thing is not really important. As long as everyone's doing something and equally contributing, then it's fine. And I kind of think I subscribe to that. But also, I'm a little more traditional in general because I would prefer to cook than do like outside stuff. Right, but that's just me.
And I don't like, I used to, but Kids Cuisine, Hungry Man, The Banquet, those TV, and shout out to them, but they just don't taste the same. So I kind of agree. Somebody's got to learn how to cook.
Yeah.
For me, I know a little bit of the basics, so I kind of expect the person I'm with to know the same.
I agree. Like, I'm not a master chef, but I just think, yeah, everybody should at least know how to do something.
That burger you cooked last night, what was that, the Gouda burger?
Oh, yeah. We had the Gouda burgers with the jam or whatever it was called.
That was masterful.
Yeah, well, I try to do
30 minutes, like chopped.
I try to do, a little something here. I think it's being the oldest sibling. I kind of have that nurturing spirit, and I just don't like to see people be hungry. So I think that's where my wanting to cook comes in, because I used to hate cooking because I just felt that pressure of like, oh, you're a woman, you should be able to know how to cook, blah, blah, blah. But now I do it because I actually enjoy it, and I just like to see people full and happy. So I think you just got to figure out what works for you. To each his own, you know?
I think really that's when you should be cooking, is when you want to and you're doing it with love and passion and inspiration and just kind of good energy. I don't want anybody to cook for me or me cook for anybody with that negative energy. They say that
true.
You absorb the karma of the person who cooked or made your meal for you.
Ooh.
So if they're cooking it angry or they're cooking it with love, you're going to feel or taste or experience that. So yeah, but going back to it, let's say you don't know how to cook, whatever, I don't want you to cook angry or try to cook. Let me just whip this up. Nah, we'll just go ahead and get that Thai food takeout.
Listen, the Thai food takeout will never fail you.
Never fail. It will fail your intestines and your GI tract, but it will not fail the flavors.
Amen.
So that's kind of my whole take on it.
Yeah, I agree. I think to each his own. Personally, I don't mind being the one to cook, but I just think people in general should know how to cook for themselves if you're a grown adult, just for your own survival.
Right. And if it's no Alfredo, what was it? Alfredo sauce?
Alfredo.
No Alfredo sauce. Go ahead and get that pesto.
Yeah, you can do the pesto. You can do the spaghetti, and the regular tomato sauce.
Regular red sauce.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that.
So I mean, it's not like it's the end of the world, like no toilet paper. You can't replace toilet paper.
Yeah, but what I will say is, don't fake it. If you don't know how to cook, hey, just let that be known. Don't try to make it work. Just be yourself and just be you. There's nothing wrong with that.
The macaroni and cheese was rubbery and the chicken tastes like what? What's that song?
Oh,
he went over to the girl's house.
It's called Rapper's Delight, right?
I think it's Rapper's Delight. He went over to the girl's house and she tried to cook for him.
No, it wasn't a girl. He went to his homeboy's house. And the food wasn't hitting.
And he had to sneak out the back window and take a Pepto-Bismol afterward. That actually happened to me. My friend's mom couldn't cook for nothing. She couldn't even boil water. Literally every time we hung out, every time we ate, liquor store. Cause
What did you get? Chips?
yes, just chip, whatever, anything but that nasty boiled water chicken meat
Oh
slop.
God.
I'm like, how you fuck up chicken and rice?
Yeah, see, rice can easily be messed up though. I mean, right, like once you get it down, it's not hard, but it can be messed up. If you overcook it, it's mushy, and if you undercook it, it's hard.
I had like felt like I had pine needles and rubber bands,
Needless to say, you stop going
and
over
I
there.
still finished it out of respect.
Oh man. So you're just like the dude on the song.
Yeah, pretty much. So
Try to
it,
eat
it
it.
is different. I just couldn't get the Pepto Bismol though.
Try to be respectful about it.
Right, I had to find where the Tum aisle was at for the Tums.
I feel like I've gone to friends' houses where I just was starving because we just didn't eat for so long. Like, I came over here to hang out. I didn't eat before I left because I was going to come over here. So, can you have the food ready when I get here?
Is it? I feel like it's easier to expect that out of a partner than like a best friend or a best friend's mom or something like that. So
Yeah, but see,
you kind of got to take it when it
maybe
comes
it's
to that
just
situation.
yeah, but maybe it's just that our mom was like, always made sure
A
there was
straight
so much
chef.
food in the house. Always.
She whip up anything. Oh, you want some
Yeah.
water? And I got some water and tree sticks. Go ahead and whip some up for you guys.
And let's make that point too, though. It depends. I think a lot of perspective depends on what you're used to. Like,
Right.
we had a mom that cooked faithfully, and when we had friends over, always made sure there was enough food in the house. But that's not everybody's experience. I mean, you have single parents, you have different situations. So I want to acknowledge too that some people don't have those same expectations because maybe they didn't have that growing up.
I think that's
You
a
know?
blessing in disguise because the reason why I'm fat, I'm a fat boy at heart, is because my mom could cook.
Oh,
These people
yeah.
who their parents can't cook, they don't like food, so they just stay in shape. So they don't mind eating a salad.
I
with no
low-key
dressing on
wish
it.
that I had that because I have no self-control going home. Like, I just eat what's there. But when I live by myself, I just drink water. I don't buy juice and stuff
Right.
like that. I eat pretty healthy because it's just me. But when you go home, it's just so hard.
So hard.
Man, I wish I had that. That's a good point. You get, so I guess our point is you get there's benefits regardless of your situation.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And if you can't cook, there's no where to eat. So
there's always some good local spots.
like we said, Indian, Thai food plug, wherever.
I think my top 2 takeout would definitely be Indian food. Second, Thai food. Third, Olive Garden. Or some type of, not even Olive Garden, like a homemade mom and pop Italian food.
And then In and Out is always the booty call, of course.
Oh, tacos. How could we forget?
Tacos.
Yes.
Oh, taco. See, when you mention tacos, I like talking about Taco Bell. My Taco Bell.
No, like Mexican restaurant, family-owned business tacos.
All right, like Flores and El Antojito and things like that.
Yes. Shout out to them.
Shout out to them.
Yeah. But I mean, I also too think when we talk about these expectations and things like that, it really gets me to thinking about when you first meet somebody, right? Do you make your expectations known up front? And on the flip side of that, are you yourself to them?
No.
So do you?
Never.
Why not?
Because you're going to blow it. Only because here's the thing. I feel like when it comes to a date, right? It's not even that people are expecting you to be yourself. People are expecting you to not be yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So let's say you're a dude who's more goofy, more jokey. Well, some girls expect that like smooth, seductive date, right? Just because they expect it. It's not the person they're looking for as a partner or whatever, but they just expect that. So if you're not that, and girls are real fickle when it comes to just these little, I guess, character things.
But that goes back to expectations, and should you have those strict expectations on a first date like that, you know?
I wouldn't even say strict, but just how you expect things to go. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So
like a vibe?
Yeah, like a vibe. And so again, let's say you're just a goofy person. And I guess it depends on the person too, because maybe the girl or guy's a little more serious, more seductive. Mm-hmm. Well, if you're goofy, it might offset that energy. If you're all both goofy, then it's a stand-up show, basically. And if you guys both, are seductive and smooth and seductive, that also works.
I think what's crazy for me is it's hard for me to not be my true authentic self. I just hate these dating rules of like, oh, you're supposed to act like this, or you're like, oh, girls, you're supposed to like play hard to get, or you're supposed to, not show interest. I just hate that.
I think that's the problem. Like if that was never there and we could just be ourselves, then we're just taking it for what it is. It's not no preconceived idea coming into it.
Because even if like they don't like you for who you are, okay, cool, it didn't work out. They don't like me, but they're gonna get to know the real you anyway. So like, why fake it and to get to a certain point and then they don't like you?
Yeah, and the thing is, it's a disappointment. If you came with no expectations, there's nothing to be disappointed by. It's just, oh well, that person just went for me. Yeah. It wasn't like, oh, I'm disappointed because I expected to go a certain way. It's like, how can you expect someone you don't know or don't know too well to do something that you are thinking about? Yeah. Or act in a certain way that you want them to.
Yeah, and I think there's like two things that you look for when you're dating. One is just straight up compatibility and vibe. Like, do we mesh well? Do we have a good time? And then the flip side of that is like those hard hitting questions like,
right.
Do you want to have kids? Do you practice religion? Are you spiritual? What's your career? What is your outlook on life? Those are like kind of the hard hitting questions. And it's interesting because somebody can meet those, but then also fail at the compatibility factor. Like, they had all the things that, all the
boxes, the physical aspects, exactly. And things like that.
They check off all the boxes, but we just don't vibe, or we just don't gel. And then you can have the opposite of that. We vibe and we gel, but this person's life is not together, or we just don't have the same beliefs. And I think that's so interesting to me.
Yeah, I think vibe is essential though. I had a successful date where I laughed so hard I spit rice on the table, but the vibe was so cold that like the vibe was so connected that it was weird, but it didn't matter, right? I had races at the time. So, that's, if you've had races, you know how it is trying to eat and talk.
Yeah. But that goes back to being yourself though, because you were having so much fun that you stopped kind of being careful in that sense. Like, of course, you accidentally spit out the rice because you're laughing so hard, but that means it was going well, and to an extent you're being yourself because you were more comfortable, versus like if you were kind of uptight and, in your head, you wouldn't have made that mistake,
Right. Yeah. But then at that point, you would have sacrificed the vibe, trying to overthink, like, oh, I hope I don't do this.
Exactly.
Hope I don't think or say. I think that in advance kills the vibe before she or he even knows what you are.
Yeah. But, I have heard another perspective that's interesting, and I don't really agree with it, but I want to know your perspective. I've heard people say like, oh, you should kind of play that role and expose yourself little by little, like show them pieces of you little by little, because you don't want to scare them off right away. Versus if they get to know you a little bit more and then you show them those sides of yourself, they might be more okay with it. What do you think about that?
It depends on a connection, because there's some times where you just meet people. I'm not saying it's all the time. It's pretty rare. But you meet people and it connects off the bat. Mm-hmm. At that point, all bets are off. Because I've heard people say, oh, yeah, we met at, let's say there was at 7. We were talking to like 1, 2, 3. Mm-hmm. At that point, I feel like all bets are off because it's just the vibe. It clicks and connects.
Yeah.
But let's say it's not like that. I would say so. Because you got to keep that interest going, the air of mystery and things like that. Because if you give too much out on the first date, there's no like that exclusivity. Mm-hmm. That mystery creates that attraction and that wonder and that interest, and that's what it's all about during the date. It's not playing hard to get, but just I say keeping a good pace and just keeping that even pace and creating that interest over time.
Yeah, I understand that.
Once you start dating, though, you could, open up a little bit more, but just in the dating phases,
Right. I understand that mindset and that way of thinking, but I just hate that. Like, I really just disagree, because I just think it takes the fun out of dating when you're trying to follow these rules. Like, I don't know, that I just think I've had many authentic connections with people and I wasn't thinking about these rules, Like, I've heard people say similar to you, like, oh, well, you don't want to put everything out there because then what are you going to talk about in the second date? Well, I mean, if I'm struggling to find things to talk about, then is there really a vibe? Is there really compatibility? Like, we have to get past the fact that it's going to be awkward because you don't know the person, or you might have moments where you're like, I don't know what to talk about with them. But if you like them and they like you and there's a connection, like, you'll find something. Even if you laugh awkwardly, like, there's nothing to talk about, and you guys just laugh at that and like bond over that, there's going to be something there.
Yeah. The point where I kind of disagree with it is like this. I like bacon cheeseburgers, but if I eat them too much, I'm just not going to want one. So I try to pace myself with it. So with the conversation, I know you guys connect and like each other, but if, you're just giving too much, it kind of just burns it out. I'm not saying the connection not there. You still like the person, but it kind of just burns it out. It's like seeing your boyfriend and girlfriend every day, 24/7. You love them, like them, great time and all that. But then at a certain point, you get a little burnt out on it, get a little too used to it, I guess you can say.
Yeah, I mean, I feel that, but I just think for me, I like authentic connection, and I just like things being more natural. And I don't think you should have to follow these set rules. And that's like, if you don't follow them, that's the end of the connection. Like, oh, you messed up, this person's gone. Because things really don't happen that way. Like, I've heard of people who had horrible first dates, and this is the story they tell at their wedding. So clearly it worked out. But they tell the story of like, our first date was horrible. Like, this went bad, that went bad. The person was awkward. Like, I just thought we would never call each other back. Oh, and here we are today.
But I think that's more of the exception than the rule. So I'm like, that can happen, and it does. Like I mentioned, like if you guys just vibe, yeah, talk till 2, 3, 4, 5 o'clock in the morning. But just the general rule of things, I guess you can say. And I'm not saying do it robotically, but in an authentic fashion. That's why, kind of going back to the question, should you be yourself? I would say no, you should be the best version of yourself. Because, for example, if you tend to talk too much, or me, I tend to cut people off a lot. Especially when we talk. I'm pretty sure you guys seen on the podcast these couple episodes. It happens. That could potentially just spoil a date. Even though I'm not a bad person, it just kind of happens. So going into a date, I would say, okay, let me just try to not cut someone off.
I agree with that.
And that's what I kind of mean. Just kind of being the better version of yourself.
I agree with that. And why do I agree with that? Because
I've cut you off before, like I am now.
Yes, you have. But that's not what I'm saying. Many times. But what I'm saying is, you should be your best version. You should be the best version of yourself on a first date, because you should be your best version. Oh, Jesus, I can't talk. You should be the best version of yourself on a first date, because you should continue being the best version of yourself throughout a relationship and a marriage and so on and so on. I think you should always present the best version of yourself. So to me, it's not like you're being fake. It's just that you're always trying to be your best you.
Yeah, and that's what I'm trying to get at when it comes to just setting general standards for yourself in as far as how you deal with men, women, and relationships and things like that.
Yeah.
So when it comes to the, not revealing yourself, it's just a general standard that comes with it. It's not like just this arbitrary rule behind it.
I get it, but I just don't do that. I mean, I do present myself as being the best me, but I don't follow these type of rules. If I feel like there's a certain vibe with someone, then I'll go with the vibe versus the rules. And what I mean by that is, if I feel like this person's feeling me and like they're, texting me or they're calling me like after the date, I'm not going to be like, oh, well, let me wait 7 days because that's what the rules say. Because then the dude's going to be like, oh, guess she's not interested. No, like if we had a good vibe and you're hitting me up afterwards and I like you too, I'm going to hit you up,
I'm with you on that. That's why I really do agree with just setting your own standards. So if you feel like it makes sense for you to do, let's say you're busy and you can only meet up once a week. Mm-hmm. Oh, well, do that. Don't try to go out of your work schedule or take time off or whatever to meet up 2 times a week just because. Or like you said, or try to play hard to get it, not call back just because. So I feel like it is important to know what you want, who you are, and then set your own standards and go from there.
Very true. Because whatever you start off doing, you're going to have to keep doing.
Man, just like that. So if you start off like a clown, you got to act like a clown the whole way through.
Shout out to moms, because moms used to always give that advice,
Definitely.
When you start, thinking you want to date somebody.
Have a little friend.
Right. When you start thinking you want to have some friends, just remember that however you start is how you're going to have to finish. So
exactly.
Be you, because you're best you, granted, but be you because you're going to have to keep that up. And it's very hard to keep up an act, but it's not hard to keep up being you.
And if you don't, like me, you'll get left at the bus stop.
Oh my gosh. I hope that y'all had a good Valentine's Day and that nobody got left at the bus stop.
Or worse.
Or worse, okay?
Whatever that is.
Whether you did something or not for Valentine's Day, I just hope it went well for y'all, because we don't need any more people being left at the bus stop.
Right, and we don't need any more people having babies either, so try to stay safe also. Hope you guys staying safe.
I saw something on Twitter that was like, we don't need any more Scorpios. No, actually, they were saying we do need more Scorpios.
We need more
no, if you make a baby in February, like Valentine's Day, mid-February, the 14th, 9 months later, you'll have a mid-November baby that's Scorpio.
I feel y'all know about that, but we do not need any more Aquarius or Aquarii.
And it's crazy because I feel like
Pisces.
I feel like my timeline now is a bunch of babies. Like all my friends have babies, and it's so cute because I love babies. I don't mind, but everybody has kids, and it makes me think like, am I behind? But I don't feel rushed, but I definitely think about like,
me neither.
Should I have? I definitely think like, what what would have happened if I would have had my kids earlier, right? Versus I'm going to be having them later now. I just think about what's the pros and cons of that,
Well,
you
you want to
know?
be saggy now or be saggy later?
Well, never, because
Never,
I will
because
just go ahead and get the mommy
the
makeover.
mommy
And
makeover.
I'm
Shout
not
out to
above
the
that.
mommy makeover. Beautiful.
Why not? But I mean, I think a lot of men would say what you're saying, though. They're not in a hurry and they would rather have kids later. But I feel like for women, we think about the Bioclock and all that, you know?
Yeah, I feel like the priorities are different. A lot of dudes now are trying to build. A lot of dudes, well, I'm 22. So around my age, let's say in between 18 and 25, before 30, we're trying to build, create. So you don't really want to have kids because you don't really have anything to provide. You really don't have maybe your own place. If you're still in college, maybe you don't have a stable income or a high enough income, not stable in a career, kind of figuring it out. So a lot of men aren't on that, which makes sense as to why women date older. Because
Yeah.
don't they, as far as like maturity and I guess middle school, they mature faster or first,
Yeah, I
something
mean,
like that.
biologically speaking, women definitely mature faster starting at, even with puberty, you see that. But
Yeah, some of
even
these
later
fast
into
girls
life,
are ready to go by 16, so everybody has a different clock.
look, we got to have a whole nother conversation about that. But I agree with you. And honestly, I did talk about the Bioclock and women being concerned about that. But I think there's been a movement for sure in our generation of women not really being concerned about that. Like, for example, there's been celebrities like Megan Good, Jackie Aina, Nazanin Mandi, who's Miguel, the singer Miguel's wife. And they're all in their 30s and they've all talked about, or they've been asked rather about having kids and stuff like that. And, they're choosing to wait and they're in their 30s and they have careers and they're flourishing. So they want to, put that off. They've all expressed that they want to have kids
How late
at
is
some
too
point,
late,
but
though?
well, I mean, if we want to talk literally, when you, when I think 35 is the age 35 is the age of where you're considered to be a geriatric.
Oh,
I know it's really bad wording.
geriatric.
It's very bad wording, but in the medical community, if you are pregnant at 35 or later,
You're eligible for Medicare.
No, you're considered canceled. Anyway, you're considered to be having a geriatric pregnancy, and that comes with an increased risk of complications. So I think there's no real age until you hit menopause that's really sets that you can't have kids. There's no set age.
Well,
but
I guess more specifically, what's the comfort age? Because you technically can, let's say if you don't have your menopause by 40, you could. But what's comfortable for a mother,
For me, I would prefer to be done by 35 at the latest. And when I say 35, I mean on my 35th birthday, the last kid should be popped out by now.
So when you're 55,
before that day,
if my math is right, that's when you kind of be done being a mother.
53.
Or because you say, okay,
when the kid turns 18. Yeah.
18. I was going just 20 just because,
Gotcha.
college or, whatever, 2 years of buffered 2 years. Because I was thinking a lot of people talk about having kids earlier because they get it not done in what's like in a way it's a chore, but you don't want to be taking care of kids when you're 40, 50, 60, 70, 80. Like there's got to be a limit to it.
Yeah.
So a lot of people are on the side of I want to have my kids at a good age, maybe 25, 35, 45. By 45, my kids are pretty much raised and grown and on their way. Now I can kind of enjoy the rest of my life rather than being especially some of these dads be 65-year-old fathers. Like,
but see, it's different because for men, you still have reproductive capacity for longer than women.
Yeah, but then you have a cane, so physically. So yeah, you can still probably pump them out, but if you got to use your walker to get to the bathroom.
Yeah, but I think it contributes though to the fact that men are okay with waiting longer versus women. We are really thinking about that clock. I think if you are someone who wants to have kids, because not all women do, but if you're a woman who does, I think you always have that in the back of your head. Right. Versus I don't think men hold on to that as strongly. But I could be wrong. What do you think?
It does, but it comes around the time of like after 30. So the societal pressures, okay, so you're still a bachelor, but when are you gonna, settle down but it's not as hardcore as it is with women because they have to actually have the kid and find a man. It's kind of easy for a guy to, get on his life and get things together and find a woman, I would say. in comparison to a woman. But yeah, it does hit.
You think it's easier for a man to find a woman than for a woman to find a man?
Yeah, because it's hard to find a good man out here.
It's hard to find a good woman out here.
You could, my opinion, I feel you could easily find a woman compared to a woman finding a man, because you can't make a man. You know how they say a rich man can change a broke woman's life. A rich woman can't change a broke man's life. You don't want to.
But that's when you're talking about money. Look, let us know if you guys want us to have a podcast segment where we discuss whether it's easier to find a good man or to find a good woman. And we're talking obviously from our perspectives.
Right.
So
put that in the that'll be our next topic maybe one of these days.
Yeah. Let us know, y'all.
All right, y'all.
Peace.
This has been Black Scott.
Love Jhade.
And we have been She Said, He Said.
Don't forget to subscribe and share, y'all.
All right, that's been our time.
Peace.